And thank you everybody for joining the third day of the West Coast Digital Summit. We are really excited to have such an exciting panel discussion on an excellent relationship between artificial intelligence and agriculture. I think it's one of the many pertinent topics that we want to discuss during this West Coast Summit, especially for a country like India, which has agriculture as its largest economy and biggest religion. And I would request the US India Council's Managing Director Ambika Sharma to please open the session for us, provide the key remarks, and then we take it up from there. Thank you very much. Yes.
Aditya, I'm trying my level best. Can I be heard now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, go ahead.
Hello. So I'm really sorry and my apologies because technically I think something is wrong with my connection. So on behalf of the US India Business Council and my colleagues who you have heard right now, I take this opportunity to welcome you all to a very special session on the third day of the digital week, which we launched just a day before. And I'm particularly thankful to our Deputy Consul General, Mr. Nayak, who has joined us from San Francisco. I'm extremely thankful for our senior representatives from the Government of India, both from central and state government, in particular Mr. Gagandeep ji, you from Tamil Nadu, and Rajmohan ji from the Ministry of Agriculture for joining us. We are extremely grateful, Mr. Keshwan, for joining us. Mr. Keshwan is representing TAFE, and I'll be formally introducing him. They are very well working with USIBC, and TAFE is very much on the board of the USIBC itself. So before, I know we are delayed by 5 minutes because of the technical errors. I just wanted to mention that today we are all going over a very exciting times and witnessing many changes around, and technology certainly play a great role. And today's topic, agriculture, and especially for India, is very critical because through artificial intelligence, precision farming, and emerging technologies, we can certainly make a breakthrough by improving our supply chain and improving demand forecasting. We'll be hearing more from on this subject in the ongoing discussion with our panelists, and we look forward to having a very major and interactive session. We are also very much delighted to get into more details as far as your presentations are concerned, to talk about how in the India-US corridor, with such a major focus on technologies, we can bring more win-win solutions for the industry. So with this, I would again like to welcome all the panelists, all the members, and I'm really my apologies because of the technical error in the connection if you are not able to hear me well. So with this, I now request Mr. Rajesh Nayak to give his keynote remarks.
Thank you, Ambika. Thank you very much for that warm welcome. I'm happy to be part of this discussion. I thank USIBC for having this session on AI and agriculture. Let me just make it sure, am I audible to everyone now?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sure.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, USIBC, for having this session on AI and agriculture. I feel proud and privileged to represent Indian Consulate in a discussion that is very important for Indian society and Indian economy. Agriculture is something that touches lives of 600 to 700 million people in India directly. You can assume how important it is for a country like India. Friends, it was exactly 30 years ago, World Wide Web was invented. www. As we know it, eventually led all of us to an information age, heralded an information revolution. There was hardly any aspect of our life which was untouched by this revolution. Trade and commerce to transportation to communication, everything witnessed revolutionary change in a span of just 30 years. But friends, if you imagine the world 30 years from now, 30 years hence, it's a very different world. World population, which is 7.3 billion at present, would turn 10 billion by 2050. per capita arable land will be reduced by 20%. It will be 0.15 hectares per person. As per the available figures, there are 800 million as of now. They go unfed. They could not meet 2 square meals a day. So with the population surge in 2050, will we be able to feed 10 billion people? Or should we look at technology to find solution to this situation? I believe, friends, yes, technology can help us. Advanced technology, including artificial intelligence-based systems, have an important role to play in addressing food security concerns. It can help in several ways by improving working conditions, by reducing the amount a farmer spends in his or her farm field, by assisting with advanced planting and harvesting techniques, by efficiently using natural resources like soil and water, by advanced storage mechanisms, distribution networks, so on and so forth. AI in farming is emerging in 4 major areas, such as agricultural robotics, soil and crop management, post-harvest storage and distribution, and predictive analytics. Progress in these areas in the context of climate change, population growth, and depleting natural can contribute greatly to food security in a sustainable way. High-tech farms are witnessing increased reliance on robots in their farms. Autonomous tractors, pest controls, including harvesting systems, one could see agri-bots in many high-tech farms today. Apart from increasing farm productivity, agricultural robotics plays a very vital role in precision farming. Similarly, AI has also been used to determine effective sowing patterns and to monitor farm production. One example that I can refer to is the pilot study that was carried out in the Indian state of Andhra Pradesh, a sowing app based on 30 years of climate data and real-time weather information helped farmers to identify optimal sowing period and help them to increase their production by 10 to 30%. I believe Microsoft was involved with the peanut farmers in Andhra Pradesh in this pilot study. AI's roles in post-harvesting process, including storage and distribution, assumes importance when we consider the fact from Food and Agricultural Organization. FAO says that every year, 1/3 of all the food produced for consumption is wasted. That is 1.3 billion tons per year. I see a great prospect for AI in reducing these shocking figures. For example, we can build advanced storage facilities as much of the wastage happens due to lack of availability of adequate storage facilities immediately after harvest. Use of advanced sensors would allow farmers to remotely operate conducive storage environment, resulting in minimum wastage. This would also contribute for supply chain management, thereby helping farmers, producers to meet stringent standards of food safety. As the world rapidly moves towards the digital economy, data analytics becomes very important in identifying consumer demands. Predictive analytics would help farmers in understanding consumer behaviors and trends. It will help them to predict future shifts. They can accordingly plan their crops and investment strategies. Friends, AI in agriculture is already a billion-dollar industry. Several reports indicate that this field is likely to show a double-digit growth over the next 10 to 15 years. However, as we advocate for a greater use of AI-based systems in agriculture, we should be aware of possible negative impacts also. An important challenge, I feel, will be in terms of preserving biodiversity and protecting food cultures in different parts of the world. Just to recall a scholar's word, yes, we must feed everyone, but not everyone must necessarily eat the same thing. It's important that we use AI in agriculture to strengthen crop diversity and support sustainable agricultural practices as well. Speaking of India, agriculture sector is a very prominent part of Indian economy. It supports about 58% of India's population and occupies more than 1/3 of country's total geographical area. The sector continues to be one of the largest contributor to Indian economy. Agriculture is an essential link in the supply chain of the manufacturing sector. It plays an important role in the rural development of the country. We need to note that India supports around 18% of the world's population with about 2% of world's land, and continues efforts towards productivity, pre and post-harvest management, value addition, use of technology, and infrastructure creation are imperative for Indian agriculture. During the last few years, plethora of schemes and initiatives have been announced by the government of India with an aim of developing agriculture sector in the country and also to double farmers' income. A few of the major schemes are Soil Health Card Scheme, launch of a pan-India electronic training platform under the National Agricultural Market, Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana, that is Prime Minister's insurance scheme, Pradhan Mantri Krishi Sinchai Yojana, dedicated online interface e-Krishi Samvad, favorable taxation treatment to farmer producer organization, micro irrigation fund, etc. These schemes also provide a good opportunity for private business to enter Indian agri market. Recent liberalization measures coupled with other business-friendly initiatives such as reduction in corporate tax, automatic route for FDI, deregulation of agricultural market, simplification of labor codes provide investors a very good opportunity to enter into India markets. I request companies that are in the agri AI domain to make the best use of this opportunity by being a player in Indian market. Firstly, you can make a big difference to your business. And secondly, you can help millions of Indian farmers as well. You do better on your balance sheet and you get a good job satisfaction also. I sincerely wish today's discussion would motivate investors and business establishments who are participating to take a serious look at Indian opportunities. Indian Consulate in San Francisco is always there to help you. Feel free to reach out if you need any further assistance or information in this regard. With these words, let me take this opportunity to thank USIBC and all their partners. Thank you very much for allowing us to be a part of this wonderful discussion. I thank all of our audience for their kind attention and wish the upcoming panel discussion all the very best. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Nayak, for sharing your valuable insights into the agriculture sector in India, giving a very broad profile. And we really acknowledge the role which Silicon Valley is playing in bringing the India-US digital partnership together. And you being a representative of Silicon Valley, we really value your suggestions and advice. Now it's time for me to move to our another speaker, and he's Mr. Keshwan. And Mr. Keshwan actually needs no introduction for the agriculture stalwarts in India, but since we have many friends who have joined from India and the US, I would just like to mention that Mr. Keshwan is really a stalwart of the agriculture productivity and management issues in India. With a dynamic career spanning over 3 decades, Mr. Keshwan's contribution has been tremendous to the agriculture sector. He's an engineer by profession, but has played a significant role and is wearing very important hats in the various industry associations taking the agriculture agenda forward. He is the chair of the FICCI's Agriculture Committee and representing the entire industry at the global level. So, Mr. Keshwan, I now request you to take over the rest of the proceedings and also introduce a very dynamic panel which we have, and all the participants are really eagerly looking forward to a very exciting discussion and a very meaningful discussion as well. Over to you, Mr.
Ambiga, I think I am unmuted. Thank you, Ambiga. Everybody can hear me?
Perfectly fine, sir.
Thanks. I think, to be honest, Mr. Rajesh Nayak has done a lot of work for me, a phenomenal amount of work he has covered. And I have an extremely great panelists. I'm going to introduce them individually when I request them to speak, but just to be quick, Mr. Gagandeep Singh Bedi, Agricultural Production Commissioner, Tamil Nadu is here. Vijay Ramohan, Director, IT and Trade, Ministry of Agriculture is here. Ranveer Chandra, Chief Scientist, Azure Global, Microsoft is here. Himanshu Goyal, India Business Lead for Weather Company, which is IBM, is here. Mr. Ramesh Ramchandran, Senior VP Farming, Mahindra Rice is here, and Mukul Varshnai, Vice President Public Affairs of John Deere is here. I'm going to structure this in such a way, every one of them, I'm going to ask them to speak initially for about 5 minutes in the first round. And I think we will definitely have a second round considering the kind of speakers we have and the kind of talents you have. Let me just put down 2 points. I think I'm going to give a little preamble, little more in lines with Rajesh has said. See, actually, agriculture today contributes to 15% of the GDP and livelihood of more than 50% of Indian population. We are the largest producer of spice, pulses, milk, tea, cashew, jute, bananas, jackfruits. We are second largest producer of wheat, rice, fruits and vegetables, sugarcane, cotton and oil seeds. Fourth largest producer of agrochemicals. Largest livestock population in the world. Largest land area under irrigation and top 5 net exporter in the world. So much to the positive, what Indian agriculture can do. There is so much we can do if there is going to be the right kind of support for agriculture. Then comes the second part of the agriculture. Today we have close to 120 million farms and farmers. Out of that, already 6.5 million has been given Kisan cards. I mean, cards and 2.5 crores. I mean, 25 million is going to be given. So finally, we are really aiming at that kind of a populace, and we are really looking at that populace to support farming. Now, what are the areas of issues when it comes to farming? I think that is the biggest challenge we need to understand. Right or wrong? Today we make 300 million tons of grain and equal amount of fruits and vegetables. And all this comes out of these farms which are probably less than 2 hectares. Smaller, very small farms still making this kind of tonnage of grain and an equal amount of fruits and vegetables is unimaginable when we really look back some 30 years back. What we today need, gentlemen, and this is what I request you to be very specific when you are coming with your interventions and what your company can do. We require an India model. An India model may not be what is a world model. We need our farmers require a predictive agriculture. They want to know if I put something, will I make something out of it? I mean, there are so many parameters. Artificial intelligence comes in. I know some of you will definitely talk about it. They are also going to look for ease of doing farming, right from land preparation to harvesting. And I'm not saying it is not necessarily autonomous. I'm just saying ease of doing farming. Second is they love to have all the inputs cost coming down. Every seed must grow. Minimum fertilizer, least amount of water if possible, low power consumptions, and ensure that soil is preserved. Other thing which already been talked about is reduce the farm and forced farm wastages. 20% on food grains and even up to 40% on the vegetables and fruits. Farmers are definitely looking for a seamless link so that he can be connected with the input as well as the output. He loves to avoid a distressed sale of produce. He will love to wait for the best practices. He likes to have value addition before the farm gate. It can be grading, it can be sorting, some kind of a value addition so that whatever he produces gets a better value. Then he loves to have your help in decision making, and he loves to have your help in risk mitigation. These are the areas I think I genuinely believe AI can come in and really start working on it. So I'm going to start in the order, going to reverse order. I'm going to start with Mr. Mukul, one of my old friends who has been with John Deere. He is an ex-Mahindra chap. And I know he has been working a lot in the policy matters and other areas of John Deere. My question, Mr. Mukul, will be, considering you come from, even I come from, an area where we have been looking at machinery, and we are spending a lot of time and energy in artificial intelligence and precision machining and precision farming. I would like you to throw some light on how do you think a company like John Deere or the technology in the mechanization actually can help the Indian farmer. On to you, Mukul, and try to be within about 5 minutes, then we again try go one more round.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Keshwan, and good morning and good evening to my friends on the call. And it's a pleasure talking on the USIBC platform and sharing what DEAR thinks and what DEAR has been actually putting efforts on. I just want you all to think a little ancient as of this moment. Look at what was agriculture some 30, 35, 40 years ago when we were little boys, little babies, and we used to travel to the farms. It was a drudgery driven or a uncertain environment agriculture. Soon we saw academia, we saw the government initiatives, and the agriculture became very scientific over a period of time. And today we are talking about technology in agriculture. Now, all these years, you would have seen one thing that many of the farmers were becoming least interested, either staying engaged in agriculture or looking at agriculture as a remunerative or a futuristic business. But today, we see a lot of traction. The young people, they want to get back to farming because technology is available to them. There are companies that are bringing more scientific and more technologically advanced, making the entire agriculture more predictable and much more in a controlled environment. Companies like John Deere, and as Mr. Keshwan said, and I think it's true with several other organizations, have constantly been investing and innovating as to how not only to make agriculture more productive and high revenue for the farmer, but also make it so technologically advanced with minimum risk and minimum cost that he incurs. While we all, even today, when we look at a plant or a tree, we will see what it looked like 30 years ago. It looks the same. The wheat plant or the paddy or the tree where you grow apples or the vegetables, they look the same, but the overall farm looks very different. And that is because more scientific and more technology driven machines are there. And it has over a time become a much more, a different feel and look from the farming standpoint. The rows are very straight. Interculture operations are now something that is very easily possible. Harvesting is possible. All that things are now becoming even more possible and accessible. Now, talking about the digital platform, which started about 2 years ago in India, and how technology is going to leverage that, I think one thing that we would like to share as John Deere, what we introduced, is a telematics. Now, nobody could have ever imagined that the farmer sitting in California would be able to view his tractor operating in India. Where is it operating? How is it operating? How many hours it has done? What is the fuel level? At what speed it is working? What's the agriculture operations that is going on? But that's made possible. So the farmer's engagement with his field, with his machine has gone up significantly because he has a real-time alert happening there. The second thing that we have also introduced and we found that was very necessary for the productivity to be more technology driven and scientific is auto guidance. Now, typically what happens when you're driving a tractor and you are doing it more manually, you have a distance between crop to crop, which could vary, which could narrow down, or which could turn into a different direction over a period of time. With the geo mapping and the satellite imagery tools that we have provided, now that accuracy in 1 inch is possible. What's the advantage of that? The advantage of that is you can do several other operations in crop care and harvesting more seamlessly, more scientifically, because then the trampling of crop or the loss of crop is not something that is witnessed, which was there in the past. Going forward, I think with the crop care coming in under the AI and ML, and I just read in this, one of the farmer has tweeted that he's, I think in the group, he just said that he's also using AI on his day-to-day farming operations, and it's good to see that happening. So the advantage of such a thing is that when you do, say, for example, weeding, or when you do something like spraying, You can detect the disease right where it is. You can detect the weed where it is, and you can do a very geography specific spray. So it reduces, it actually enables better quality of soil, and it actually helps better yield, quality yield, because the traceability of pests or chemicals on the crop is minimized. So with that, I will give it back to Mr. Keshwan. We have some more information to share as to how AI and ML can further make agriculture more exciting, but we'll look at it at the second phase, and I give it back to Mr. Keshwan.
Let me unmute myself. Thanks a lot, Mukul. I think you have covered what you really said, that the intelligent mechanization has made a purpose and a more scientific structure to the way we are doing agriculture, which has become more measurable, predictable, correctable. I mean, this is what in essence you have said. I am going to go to a different person now, because I'm not going to touch on mechanization now. I'm going straight to Mr. Himanshu. You heard what Mukul talked about, and you are coming from the weather company, which is an IBM business, and you actually help to make very informed decisions. You have been working on IBM as the largest technology employer. You have been serving a lot of people, and you also been a person who were interested in startups and delivered some startups and product launches in the past. Now, I want you to continue from what Mukul has taken and stated. Do you think that considering IBM is a very large company, and considering Indian farmers are very small farmers, do you think that you have solutions which is going to be useful for the farm? I'm not asking for solution to useful for the government. I think, do you have solutions where the farmers can help, enable, and gain? Over to you, Mr. Himanshu.
Sure, Mr. Keshwan. I'm just trying to load my slide. Is that visible?
Yes, please. It is.
Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Keshwan, and thank you, USIBC, for giving me this opportunity to come and speak here. I think Mukul laid out, the modernity of agriculture so well, and we just covered this in this simple slide where we are saying, the farmer has been running the tractor on diesel, sweat, and now they need billions of data points. So this is the philosophy which we are trying to preach. And what I'm going to do in the 4 minutes I have is I'm just going to take you through what are we after as a technology company and what are we really trying to do. So we at IBM acquired the weather company 4 years ago, and that probably got us involved with AgTech in a very meaningful way, looking at data. So we are really after the data which are challenges, which bring challenges to agriculture, and we call them quote unquote the uncontrollable variables, because on the farm you can control what you can control, but you can't control the atmosphere, the environment, and the weather. So I'll just take you through what we are really doing with solving weather as a challenge, and then what are we doing with AgTech. But just this particular slide, what we are doing in India, it's interesting that right from ag logistics to trading organizations to ag advisors and to the consumers, the weather insights are becoming all the more meaningfully important with the vagaries which we see. Now, monsoon never continued, leaving last year and this year beyond October 10th, but look where we are today, and we are expecting significant rains all across the peninsula of India, and it's not changing for a few days as we see. So the weather insights plays a lot of role in making the decisions, and that's what we at IBM are trying to do, give the users the right data to make a good decision. Now, when we talk about weather, the one thing which is always a question for a farmer is, when will it rain, how much will it rain, and what it will really affect me with. So the weather company is doing a lot of good work in trying to bring this data and science together. And weather is not 100% predictable from a science aspect, but yes, we are getting nearer. We probably will never be 100%, but we'll be in upwards of 90% on few variables. So this is a simple chart on how we get this data. We get data from personal weather stations under Weather Underground, which is our site for crowdsourcing of weather data from personal devices. We get a lot of data from over 50,000 aeroplanes which fly. Then we get data from your and my mobile phones, ensuring there's a permission available for usage because the gyrometer and the barometer gives us pressure readings and the locations. And we take this through over 160 forecasting models to bring a hyperlocal, which is half a square kilometer grid point on the Earth's surface. And we update this data on that grid point every 15 minutes. So in nutshell, in every 15 minutes, we are covering 2.2 billion locations on Earth. Now, on a good day of weather, we are addressing around 26 billion API calls on weather data. The moment you're looking for weather, you're hitting our servers and checking out what's going on. And all this while, we wanted to further improve the hyperlocalness, because when a farmer is asking when it will rain, how much will it rain, we got to address that issue. So IBM invested in something which is, we believe, the world's biggest and most powerful weather prediction platform called IBM Graph, which essentially did one unique thing. Earlier, we were taking a 10-kilometer grid in the atmosphere and then downsizing that arithmetically to a half a square kilometer. But now we've taken that grid to 3 kilometer and we can do much more better prediction in growth markets like India, Africa, etc. So all the digital channels which you see, the popular phones you use are pretty much covered by us on the weather data, whether it's Apple, Samsung, or you're Googling for weather or looking for Facebook. Now coming to AgTech, as I said, we are after solving the uncontrollable vagaries of weather, which tells you how much will it going to rain, how much sunshine would be there, precipitation, temperature, soil moisture, etc., etc. So this is what we are really after, and this is the data which today is always a variant point. But when we talk about weather accuracy, moving from A% to B%, we have really not really invigorated much on talking about how much soil moisture is there, at what depth, how much it is, etc. And the probes are expensive, so digitization comes to help, and that's what we are really trying to do. This is a bit of a visual of the dashboard, which we have, and we do believe with a lot of clients, this is really helpful in making the IoT pieces connect with digitization of agriculture. So for now, Mr. Keswan, this is pretty much what I wanted to share. But to your question, I think everyone is trying to do something with agriculture, and our play is data and good quality decision-making data.
Sir, you're muted. Mr. Keshwan, you're muted. Still muted. No, you're muted. We can't hear you.
Sir, can't hear you. If you could log off and log in again,
Maybe he just needs to unmute.
Himanshu, can you just stop sharing a screen?
I'm sorry. Yeah, I'll do that.
Now try, Mr. Keswan.
Has it gone?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry about that.
So could you log off and log in again, please? Yeah, and in the meanwhile, if I could Yeah, I think he's there.
Can you hear me now?
Perfectly well, sir. Thank you.
I know it was not muted from my end, so I'm surprised. Okay, thanks a lot, Himanshu. I think you have done exactly what I requested. That yes, you said there is a solution for risk mitigation, even at a farmer level. You said 3 kilometer grids, which I think today in India it's definitely a solution for farmer, and you're also able to use predictive technologies. I think this is important. How we can get into micro of it and how we can actually help farmer, I think probably will come one round. I am going to to the government now. I'm not going to go to Mr. Bedi because I know it's phenomenal amount of work he has done. I'm going to hold him till the end. So I'm going to go to the government, and I know that a lot of work has been done on the IT side. So I like to request now that whatever the IT work has been done by Mr. Vijay Rajmohan. Vijay has been a civil servant, almost with 2 years of experience, 2 decades of experience. Interestingly, I didn't realize that he was in human HRD, health law, food safety, etc. before he started as a director for the Food Safety and Standards Authority of India, which then he moved to Ministry of Agriculture. He has handled a lot of areas of extension, drought management, international cooperation, trade policy, and logistics support. And he's long experience in the farming policies, overseeing the implementation of major projects. And with this background of learning from the University of Hull, Michigan State, and the Asian Institute of Management and Technology, I like to request Mr. Vijay to tell us. You are heard from two stalwarts on technology. You have used technology. Do you think that, and I also know Government of India is planning a large resourcing of all the agricultural data into one platform so that anybody, any farmer, any organization, anyone is needed, you can actually start accessing it. This has been already been announced. So my question is, what is the next step Government of India will be doing on the AI and IT's support front? I'm not saying that you will be the front, but in the support front, what are the policies the Government of India is bringing in so that some of the things what the two gentlemen talked about will be able to actually, the farmer will be able to access it at the lowest cost. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Kesavan. Am I audible? Thank you. As you rightly pointed out, even today we had a discussion with the industry about this India digital ecosystem for agriculture, which we are bringing out now. Probably by December, we'll be coming out with the blueprint, digital blueprint for agriculture. And again, as you rightly said, that we are in the process of integrating the farmers' data with the land record. And around more than 4.64 farmers data is already ready with us. We are further doing our work, and by December, we expect around 100 million. Hello. Can I continue?
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Yes, please.
So by December, we will come out with, we will open the data of around 100 million farmers in the country, farmers linked with the farm data. And by the time this digital ecosystem for agriculture also would be in place, so we will have standards, we'll have transparency standards, we'll have standards for collaborating with the private sector, how the data will be monetized, how the data will be further utilized by the startups, by private players, by other government departments. So we are working towards this. And this is one part which we are doing. The work is progressing at a very fast pace. Unfortunately, due to the pandemic, there were some delays. Otherwise, by this time, we would have come out with that. And with regard to artificial intelligence, especially, we have now this year unveiled a new national e-governance policy on agriculture. In that, we have asked the states to undertake pilot projects and develop proof of concepts using various technologies, various modern technologies, and then for which Government of India has offered its funding. Already have come forward for using various technologies like blockchain, AI, ML, and also we have now sanctioned the use of drones and IoT devices. So we have basically we have sounded all the state governments that Government of India will be willing to support under the usual central sector scheme format, by which we give 60% of the expenditure from the central government for the states, 90% for the northeastern states, 100% for the union territories. And in fact, I would request, since a lot of players from the field are there in this forum, so kindly, approach the states, because many states I still find they are not connected with the actual players. These are all new, areas to them. I would request all the participants to kindly proactively go meet the state officials, explain what the technology you have, the kind of equipments you have or your expertise, explain to them how it can help the farmers, and then we can very well sanction the projects forwarded by the state government, so that at least this year we develop some good viable proof of concepts, and pilots are undertaken across the country. And next year we will scale up. We are also coming out with a digital agriculture mission, by which Government of India is going to allocate from next year onwards huge funding towards this, so that our farm sector is modernized and our farmers get access to the best of technology from across the world. So this is what we are doing. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, sir. Thank you for sharing this. I know the Government of India had got very ambitious programs on bringing technology and artificial intelligence and IoT platforms into agriculture. And I think this will be a good area where all the people who are joining here, all the people who are listening in, should be able to access this and see how they can collaborate with the government. Because I always believe that the government is the best way to collaborate with the farmers, because you require somebody to handhold even the private who are going to come in, and they will be able to give us the right options. So I think this will be of a great help, sir. The only area where I think probably we will also request you on behalf of all these people is, I think you should also create an incubation center so that the right skills and everything can be developed and handed over. So it has to be a little more larger. Maybe we should have a separate discussion. I'm sure USIBC will be able to sit with you and map out what are the technologies they'll be able to bring in and at least offer you, so that you have a choice and what you think is appropriate for India. So let me stop here. Since we're talking about technology, and I have one more gentleman who has been really wanting to talk about technology. The man who we normally, azure, I think is what, bluish color of the sky. So I think there is somebody from Azure, Ravin Chandra, Chief Scientist of Microsoft Azure. He wants to talk about his Farm Beats programs, where he's been working on farm related areas from the Microsoft Azure platform. And interestingly, Mr. Ranveer I never realized that Mr. Ranveer is such a scholar. He has published over 90 research papers and over 100 patents that has been granted by USPTO. It's a very interesting thing. He has won very many awards. He has MIT Technology Review's top innovator under 35. I think somebody like Ranveer will be the right person to help the Indian agriculture with the most appropriate solutions. So we love to hear from you. You have heard your co-speakers, you have heard the government, and love to hear where you think you'll be able to pitch in, whether it is blockchain, artificial intelligence, or anything related to IoT. Yeah. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Keswan, and really nice. And thank you for having me here. Sorry, I joined a little bit late, but I'm really excited to be part of this conversation. And as Mr. Keswan, you were saying that I'm based in Seattle, I'm based here, but I started the work in agriculture at Microsoft in 2015. That's when I wrote the first memo internally saying why Microsoft should be doing it. And the reason I did that was because of my upbringing in India. So I grew up in India, I grew up in Jamshedpur, but I did spend a lot of time growing up in my grandparents' farm in Bihar, North Bihar, near Bhagalpur. This is like way away from Bhagatpur, there's this place called Baka. There is a village there called, I won't name the village and all, but it was like, I did not like anything to do with agriculture back then. So when I used to grow up, I used to spend my summer and winter vacations with my grandparents, and I did not like it because these farms did not have any electricity. They did not have any toilets. But I used to be living in Jamshedpur rest of the year. Jamshedpur, as you know, is like Tata city. It's got 24-hour water, 24 electricity. But that's what triggered the start of this. That is, I spent so much time there in these farms, and that's why I started working in, I wanted to do something in this space. So that's what led to the start of the FarmBeats project. With FarmBeats, what we are looking to do is build, is a way to enable data-driven agriculture. What we are talking of with FarmBeats is a vision where data and data-driven insights can augment a farmer's knowledge about what they should be doing in the farm. Our vision is not that we will be replacing a farmer. I think farmers are definitely needed. Farmers know a lot about their farm. Like over here, even in the US, I went and interviewed several farmers when I started this project. There's one farmer who can feel the soil and say what might be going on. Another farmer tastes the soil. But these guys know a lot about their farm. They've been farming there for decades, if not for centuries. But still, a lot of decisions a farmer makes is based on guesswork, like how much water to apply, how much fertilizer to apply, when to plant, when to harvest, is based on guesswork. If we can use data from the farm and get the data somehow, and then bring data-driven insights on top of that using artificial intelligence, you can then arm a farmer with their knowledge, with this additional data and insights to be more better, to grow more, to be more profitable, and it can also help them practice more sustainable farming practices. So that's the vision. The way we are doing this with FarmBeats is we are taking a very partner-centric view. Microsoft is not an agriculture company. We are not a sensor company. We are not a seed company, an input company, equipment company. But what we have is a data platform. What we are building is a way to get large amounts of data from the farm about the farm, either from equipment, from sensors, from the cloud components, from satellites, from weather stations, other data sources, being able to bring all of this data, ingest it in one place. And then what we are building are these geospatial AI analysis tools through which you can combine different data sources. And that can be possible using artificial intelligence. Like, for example, I'll give you a simple example. If the question was, what is the soil moisture level 6 inches below the soil throughout the farm? If you have to build an accurate map like that, what would you do? You would have to put a sensor every 10 meters. But putting a sensor every 10 meters is expensive to deploy, to manage. It'll come in the way of the farmer as the farmer does the day-to-day job. The key thing we built there was using artificial intelligence, where you intelligently place a few sensors and then use aerial imagery from different satellites to then combine sensor data, which is giving you temporal information, with satellite data to build these maps. And we wrote a research paper on this, where we showed that this technique is 3 times more accurate than existing schemes that don't use aerial image. Aerial image, I'm not just talking of optical. It could be multispectral, hyperspectral, or even RF data. So that's one case. In another case, what we've done is, if you have a sensor in the ground, what we've done is the sensor will not only tell you values that you're getting right now, but we start making predictions of what these values would be up to 5 days in advance by combining this data with weather station data. So you start getting very hyper-local predictions. Because as you know, you all are the experts in agriculture. For farmers, weather plays a very important role. But when you look at the weather prediction, it's telling you the weather at the weather station, not necessarily what's happening in the farm. If you can start putting these low-cost sensors and start making these very hyper-local predictions, you can then start providing more value to the farmer. And we've done that here in the US too, where the weather system is advanced. There is this farmer in eastern Washington. He farms over 9,000 acres. He's a big farmer. And he then, until now, he was looking to apply chemicals in his farm. This is to control some weeds. He looked at the weather forecast. It said it was going to be 42 degrees, which 42 degrees Fahrenheit, right, which is above freezing. We predicted it was going to be 31 degree Fahrenheit, below freezing. It was actually 30. It was good he didn't go and spray chemicals, because it would have killed all his plants, all his crop. So these are the kind of things that AI can do. It can help a farmer be more productive. It can help a farmer tell a grower what to do where in the farm. And then the other thing is, it's not just that, it can also help a farmer practice sustainable agriculture practices. Like, there is a lot of conversations these days going on around carbon and climate change. And as you all know, with climate change, with carbon above the soil is bad, carbon below the soil is good. Not bad really, but you want to push more and more carbon back into soil. And one of the ways you can do that is through agriculture, through the farmers. Like a lot of energy companies, Microsoft this year in January, we made a sustainability commitment. We announced that by 2030, we are going to be carbon negative. The way we become carbon negative, part of it will be by reducing our own emissions. But the rest of it, we need to buy carbon credits. We need to pay someone for putting carbon back into soil. Interestingly, farmers, through their natural farming practices, are putting carbon back into soil if they use the right farming practices. If a farmer practices no-till, cover cropping, all of these like good nutrient management, they are putting more carbon back into soil. So if we can help a farmer take the right decisions, they not only grow more, they could actually benefit from this carbon market that people are talking about. So that's the vision that we have with AI, with data, is with Microsoft, we're building this platform. We announced Azure FarmBeats, which is not for the growers. Azure FarmBeats is not something that we want growers to use. The way it gets to the growers is through partners like yourself and like the other people in this panel. That is, you have the agricultural intelligence. We want our AI intelligence to be coupled with the agricultural intelligence that exists in the community, in the audience, to start unlocking new potential with data and data-driven insights for the growers.
Thank you. That is a very different view of how you can actually help farmers through cooperation and bringing people together and you driving data behind it. Thanks a lot. Nice to know that you are from Jamshedpur. I used to spend a lot of time in younger days. Maybe we'll have some correction offline. We'll come back to you on that.
Yeah.
Okay. See, I have now one more gentleman here from Mahindra. I'm going to ask him this question because we've been talking about technology, you're talking about equipments, etc., etc. When we talked about especially when all the speakers before talked about technology, and then finally when Microsoft came in and Raveen started talking about sensors. I want to understand that I genuinely believe that sensors are also going to be a very, very important aspect when it comes to precision farming and farm equipments. And considering you are driving the M&M's farm equipment sector, typically in the farming part of it, and you have a phenomenal amount of experience in innovation, marketing and P&L management, and you've also been with Unilever, and you also worked with early experience with Shell. You have been working with a venture consultancy and along with the Fortune 500, you have very varied experiences. So what I want to understand is, how is technology going to come into the equipment sector, and how is the precision farming, etc., is going to be driven by sensors and the AI? AI, little bit people are talked about. I like to hear a little more if you think you can elaborate on sensors. And there has been a lot of talk on disposable sensors also that you sow it along with, and it measures till the crop is there, and thereafter it just melts away in the soil. So I don't know. I think you chaps have been doing a lot of work in Mahindra as well as your. So I would love to hear from you, Mr. Ramesh, that with this your kind of experience in varied fields, what do you think the sensors and relative technology is going to do for this equipment, and how is it going to change the way we are going to use the equipment? Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Keshavan. Thank you also for the generous introduction, and USIBC, thank you for this platform, the opportunity to share some of these thoughts with all of you. Mr. Keshavan, there was a very sort of incisive question. Before I get into some of the details, which will bring the answer to life, let me also share some context so that it becomes clearer about where we're coming from when we think of technology in the context of farming, specifically advanced technologies. So we have a very strong focus on what we call the smaller landholder. Now we define this in a somewhat expansive way, but you get the picture. For us, this small landholder is the focus. So everything in our business is centered around the smaller landholder in terms of the size of machines, in terms of the simplicity of the operations, in terms of the affordability, the accessibility of our solutions as well. And we're very ambitious. Just because we're focused on the smaller landholder doesn't mean we don't want to be ambitious. We are very ambitious. In fact, we define our purpose as democratizing technology for the smaller landholder. So really what we're doing is we are delivering advanced technologies into them, but interpreted in a way that is affordable, accessible, simple for the smaller landholder. And in order to do so, we believe that we have to work through a network of partnerships. I'm not only talking about mechanization partnerships, of which there are several. And in the last few years, we have acquired majority stakes in several companies across the world, Mitsubishi Agri Machinery for lightweight machines, Sampo, which is a Finnish harvester company, Hisarlar, which is a Turkish implements company. So those are the mechanization partnerships. But my focus here in the context of the question you've raised is really the digitization partnerships. So we really work through a network of digitization partnerships. For instance, in the precision farming area, which you spoke about, our focus technologies are AI, IoT, and robotics. And the reason we focus on them is to help farmers become more profitable on a per acre basis. And that will come from their using less inputs, like you mentioned in your opening remarks, and by impacting their yield, both in terms of quality as well as quantity. Now, we have invested in these capabilities through strategic stakes in several startups across the world. One of them is Resin, which is an AI-focused agri-tech startup in East Canada, which has advanced capabilities in imagery analytics. Another is Gamaya, which is a Switzerland-based agri-tech startup, also possessing advanced skills in imagery analytics for different set of crops. And closer to home, an IoT startup out of Mumbai called Karno Technologies, all IIT Mumbai folk. They, I would define as a world leader in developing very affordable plug-and-play IoT solutions that have advanced analytics capabilities. Now, besides this, we work with a much bigger group of partners in areas such as drones, in areas such as robotics, agronomy, and not just startups and private firms, but also universities as well as government bodies. So we work with a range of partners. Now, what types of solutions are we looking at, and what have we developed? And this probably more precisely answers your question. So, for example, one of our propositions is aimed at farmers to help them optimize their fertilizer consumption and improve their yield. With potato farmers as the initial focus, we first map the field using an implement that has sensors, and that map separates the field into 3 zones: high fertility, medium fertility, low fertility. So it's actual data that is picked up from the soil. And in the second step of the operation, we, using a variable rate fertilizer kit, fertilize the field according to the level of fertility in the different zones. So the fertilizer is dispensed in the right amounts based on the map. For grapes, for example, we capture images of the field using a camera that is mounted on a tractor, and that then helps identify the hotspots of diseases, specific diseases. And in the second step, we use a variable rate sprayer to focus the spray on the diseased areas of the field. IoT as well, we have a solution which is a plug and play solution for rental entrepreneurs to help them run their business more efficiently, so they can remotely monitor where is their machine, how many hours it has done, much in the way that Mukulji had described the telematics solution of John Deere earlier. So we have a range of things that I've just mentioned a few to bring this to life a little bit. I'll add one more point, which is probably more of our take on this whole space. And it's something that we know that the government of India strongly believes in. So we feel that if we want to make a change in Indian agriculture, it's not only about developing excellent technology solutions, which is of course key, It is also about finding a way to make an impact on the ground. And for this, you need an integrated go-to-market approach. So what we did a few months ago is we've created a new vertical in our business called Farming as a Service, which we've branded Krish E. The purpose of this vertical is to handhold farmers, is of course to bring to farmers a range of services, agronomy advisory, machine rental, various apps, precision farming services. It's to bring all these things together, but find a way to hold their hand and implement change on the field. So this for us is actually critical. And to be honest, we can't do this ourselves. So we work with a network of on-ground service providers who collaborate with us, both to educate the farmer, to deliver the on-ground services, and to improve the practices of the farmer. So for us, technology partners are not only the high-tech AI startups and other companies. Technology partners are also those who help us take this into the market. And for us, it's killing two birds with one stone. So of course, we want to improve the prosperity of farmers and create more prosperous farmers. But at the same time, we would love to be able to create prosperity among the last mile service providers for the farmer as well, so that the agricultural ecosystem is benefited. So that's my take on your question, Mr. Keshwan. Back to you.
Thanks a lot, Mr. Ramesh. I think you really touched with the farmer needs now. I think that's why I really came back to you in the last, because I know you have been working very closely on the ground, and the handholding what you talked about makes a hell of a lot of sense when it comes to the Indian farmer. I mean, I know that you can't advise him, but he'll be happy if you come and work along with him. So that's a great input. Now I have my arsenal. I'm going to go back to Mr. Bedi himself. We had reasonably working closely, Mr. Bedi, and I know how patient, how passionate he is with respect to agriculture. He started all, I think, right from he has been into this Tamil Nadu Secretariat, and he started as Director of Rural Development. Then he came to TWAD. Then I think he was the youngest secretary ever to take over the animal husbandry, dairies and fisheries. And he had some great crowns to be proud of. His free distribution of milch cow actually won the best practice award of the Chief Minister. And the other thing is that he was working very closely on the revenue and rural development, where he also had a chance of winning many more awards. And he has been impeccable. And that's one of the reasons he was made an inquiry officer for the granite and beach mining controversies which came about. His present role, he's the Secretary Agriculture. He comes with a lot of challenges because he has been saying that Tamil Nadu drought, but I think he really did something fantastic. He enlisted close to 16 lakh farmers, and he was able to bring in the insurance in a big way. I know most of you heard that Tamil Nadu did extremely well on crop insurance, and I think the credit goes to him that farmers could be given close to 2,200 and 2,300 crores of compensation through this insurance, and this also won him the Best Meritorious Service Award. And last but not the least, Tamil Nadu government has been winning accolades with respect to agriculture. So I'm going to ask him a question. See, we have heard a lot about technology, and I know Mr. Bedi has been working both with the farmers, with the private people, and with the technology providers. And I like to hear, actually, sir, I am going to ask you about your vision on, you heard everybody talking. I like to really look at your vision. How do you think, because you can also speak for Tamil Nadu, you can also speak for the India, because you are government for me. So please let me know, sir, what do you think? How are these things going to make a way into making the Indian farmer's life different?
Oh, thank you so much, Mr. Keshwan. And first of all, let me thank all the speakers before me who have actually who have talked and given a lot of good information, which I, as Agriculture Secretary of a state, will like to hear about. And all this adds to the knowledge of us who are in the policy making in the government. Your question, Mr. Keshwan, as to what will be my vision. I will be very frank with this august group of the speakers as well as the audience. See, you know, I basically, if you go by my education and all, I'm in basically electronics and communication engineer. So, but I have been in like agriculture secretary over here for the last 4.5 years, and I was also animal husbandry, dairying and fisheries secretary for about 2 years. So, as secretary to government in this agri and allied sector, I have more than 6.5 years of experience. I will be very frank in saying that I was also reading in the conversation somewhere, one participant, he has expressed that let us focus on the small farmers. What I will like to say is that technology is available right from low-ended solutions to high-ended technology is available across the world. But what in India we require is technology which should be used by the farmers, especially the small and marginal farmers. You know, more than 90% of the farmers of our country are small and marginal farmers. So as secretary, though I do acknowledge the fact that technology which gives us solutions by usage of various equipments, including Internet of Things, etc. Right from our home, we can do agriculture. I'm perfectly fine and definitely do encourage that also, because that is also something that is required by the farmers of one particular segment. But what we need is technology which can be used by the farmers en masse. So as secretary to the government, that's the vision that I should have. Now, there are all the stalwarts of various software companies as well as the agri mechanization based companies, including your company and Mahindra and John Deere, etc. What I will like to give a message first of all to you is that we actually do, the government does welcome all your solutions. What we will like you to do is, you know, a private sector company may have limitations in terms of reach to the farmers. But what my message in the beginning to all of you is, and you are very important for us, is that any technology that you bring which is aimed at helping the large number of especially small and marginal farmers. So I will request that you should get in touch with with people like me who are secretaries or the directors who can actually help in taking the solutions that you bring in, which are very useful for the farmers, down to thousands and lakhs of farmers in the field. Okay, now to give you an example and then start. I will give you the example of Mr. Keshwan himself. Their group came to Tamil Nadu government saying that they have come up, of course, with the app. They came to us about more than a year back, wherein they were actually having an application wherein, just like our Uber and Ola, the registration of the farmers is being undertaken, and the farmers who are having agro machinery, including the tractors, rotavators, tillers, power tillers, transporters, etc., were also available. So they wanted that application to be linked on to governmental application, and they wanted to carry it forward at no cost to us. And I'm sure Mr. Keshwan will agree, no publicity of the company also. The basic purpose was to take the help of the government in transporting the technology to the larger base. We definitely took on that particular solution, and we have got an application of Tamil Nadu called Ulovan app. It is in English, it is UZHAVAN. If you go on Google Play Store or on the Apple the system, you can go and download that and register as a farmer of a particular district in Tamil Nadu just for test sake, and you can see its benefits. We actually put the app given by the private sector, by the TAFE group, on without any publicity to the company, and this solution became quite popular. Actually, it's a popular app. By the way, in Ulavan app of Government of Tamil Nadu, it was started in April 2019, I believe, and so already we are having more than 8.5 lakh farmers on board. Just to tell you, and my happiness is that, you know, if we have got the number of, though the number of farmers exactly around active farmers will be about 80 to 90 lakhs in Tamil Nadu, but the farming families are say about it will be about 40 lakh farming families. Out of that, I have got 1/4, nearly 8.5 lakh farmers who are on board with me. If I today give a message today that, okay, based on the weather advisory I have got from the satellite and other things, that there is going to be heavy rain in these are the districts, all I need to do is send a message which will pop up in the phone, in the smartphones of all those farmers. You know, 8.5 lakh farmers have got smartphones. So the point I'm trying to tell to all of you is that let us not underestimate the farmers, and this number is increasing day in and day out. The number of farmers who are, because of this WhatsApp, farmers are actually also having smartphones, and we are using this to transfer the technology to the farmers. So with this message, I will also like to tell what we are interested about as a governmental system and what we have done so far also, so as to give a flavor of what which are the areas in which the government will be interested in utilizing the technology that you all noble people have got, noble companies have got, and which we would like to be associated with. The first, of course, is artificial intelligence we have used for assisting our farmers in the pest and disease monitoring system. You know, again, we have given that link to our Ulavan app, where the farmers just simply go and click the photograph of the disease plant, and we have got hundreds, thousands of pictures in our system, and with that, automatically the artificial intelligence based the feedback goes to the farmer concerned about what is the possible disease. And we have also got a database of our scientists from Agriculture University as well as the field level officials who are there willing to guide the farmers also about their crop disease patterns. Now, this is something that is there. Of course, if you go as a field reality, the number of farmers who are using it may not be much, but slowly and steadily the number is increasing, and there are large number of people who will not like to wait for the agriculture officer or horticulture officer who is there in his weekly visit in once in 3 or 4 days to the village to come. They will simply like to use this technology, which has been made available by Government of Tamil Nadu in the domain Internet of Things and through our app. Second thing that we have used, not exactly AI, but again usage of technology, is the farm guide. Now we have a system wherein we have pulled in the knowledge database of agriculture universities as well as the extension officials, and we have also linked in the satellite data that we get throughout an agriculture as well as veterinary university to know the weather. Now, if a farmer says, if there will be a lot of IT-based engineers who also are doing now horticulture. If a farmer say he puts in the app about the area he is having, the particular district and village name, what he wants to cultivate. For example, he wants to grow maize. He said, this is the date I want to do the sowing. Everything else the system takes care. Through the system we guide him. Okay, what about the seeds, from where to buy? We have got everything online in Tamil Nadu. All the seed shops are available online, private as well as government. If I want to know which district, which village, which seeds of which variety are available, I can have the stock now. Where the fertilizers are available, what is the present rate I can get. So we guide him, or you can go for this seed or this seed variety. We guide him, you sow. Then we tell him that this is the day you should give the first irrigation. This is the day you should do you should give the, if you need to spray some chemicals, or we give a choice of the whether it has to be bio-based chemicals or other chemicals. We give a choice to the farmers. If there's weeding to be done, we also give on this particular date, and that we keep on guiding the farmer till he harvests. And we have also linked up all the agriculture markets, and suppose the farmer has to sell his maize, what is the today's market price? So online market prices are available, and we guide him. He has a choice, this market or that market. If we want to sell outside, he has a choice for that. So this farm gate based guide system we are having. Third thing that we have used, I'm just giving you a few areas where we are using technology, is monitoring the solar pumps. Now this is a new field, and the point is that a lot of emphasis is being given to usage of solar technology for agricultural pump sets. Now what we have found is that government just simply gives the subsidies, and MNRE ministry gives subsidies, and farmers put solar pumps, and after a point of time they go into disuse because of non-maintenance either by the farmers or by the companies, and nobody monitors that. Now we have actually put up sensors connected to internet, and every month when I take up a particular sense, not everything, but a few, we have tried it out for about 400, 500 pumps across the state. We monitor that, and how many hours on a day the pump has actually worked, which pump has not been working for days together. We monitor that and ensure that the farmers and engineers and the pump companies are also tied up to ensure that all the solar pumps keep on working. The next, of course, we have actually also been extensively using drones. Actually, the drones are becoming more and more important from our perspective, because a lot of spray of chemicals in the fields, they cause human health hazards. We have had in the past instances when people died while spraying the chemicals. So we prefer the usage of drones, and in fact we want more and more companies to come and enlist with our agriculture engineering department so as to use the drones. And we have been actually, like last year for example, we allowed the drone companies to do the spray for the taking in case of the fall armyworm disease, and we offered the money, whether it is human or based on the drone, but we offered so that the farmers who have got access to drones can also use them and get the money compensated to them, the subsidies compensated from the government in this regard. The next technology, I'm just going to end. I thought I might have exceeded by 5 minutes, but 2-3 more minutes, and I will like to tell in the beginning. Another technology that the government is interested in horticulture sector is the usage of robotics. Now the point is that robotics, I am not saying the farmer will use it, but the governmental agencies like our horticulture development agency, what it's done in Tamil Nadu, it is being done in other states also. What we do is we get seeds from either we grow seeds in-house in our state horticulture farms, or we get seeds from the private sector. We grow them in the pro trays, and then we give the seedlings to the farmers, and we combine with some subsidies from the governmental side. Now, what we have been trying to do is we have actually got robotic machines in Keen Agriculture University, which do the grafting, especially for brinjal and other seeds. So we have actually used this grafting robotics to go for en masse grafting of seedlings, especially in the field of brinjal. And we have been giving a lot of push through it in the western part of Tamil Nadu, which in my opinion is going to be much in demand in the future also, because of the labor issues and because of the standardization issues. It's a very good thing that we utilize. Finally, I will like to, of course, touch up the issue. There are many other issues, but what we are using, I will like to mention is about the usage of satellite imagery. We find it extremely important. Now, it's of course not artificial intelligence exactly, but what the government of Tamil Nadu relies heavily on satellite imagery. And I was listening to the talk about IBM usage of technology. But what we have done is the government of Tamil Nadu has actually signed up with the insurance companies and TN Agricultural University's satellite, the remote sensing department. The basic thing is clear. Whenever there is a dispute between the government and the insurance company over whether the crop was damaged in a particular area or not, we say that yes, both of us will use a satellite image. For example, there is now in a particular district, the issue was whether to give the crop loss to the farmers based on the actual loss on a particular day, or whether it has to be taken up as there's a technical word called failed sowing. Failed sowing means within 3 weeks the crop itself has failed. Then you just give him, the farmer, 25% of his due, and you really do not go by the exact cross law where the company has to actually pay more. We went by the satellite imagery, and satellite clearly showed, okay, we had the satellite which passes over that particular area after 12 days. On the first pass, the area was showing green, and it was shown by a blip on the graph. Second, after 12 days, yes, it was there. On the third week, we found in some villages it was a blank line, so it means the crop had withered away. Whereas in some other villages, that graph, that it was showing a peak, indicating that the crop was there. So the government and insurance company, of course, it was some villages, the government claimed that no crop was there, was to be correct. Some villages which we thought were correct, that the insurance company got a claim. So we heavily rely on the usage of technology for insurance sector. And just to supplement what Mr. Keshwan said, actually we have done well in insurance sector. We faced the biggest drought in Tamil Nadu in 2014, and we use technology, we use MIS, we use satellite imagery. And that particular year, 16-17, Tamil Nadu government actually paid through insurance farmers about 3,500 crores, which actually prevented all the farmers' distress, suicides, etc. in that particular year. And I'm happy to inform that Tamil Nadu is one of the most successful in implementation of crop insurance. And so far, since 2016, 2017 virtually, 2017, 2020, of course, we had a good support from Government of India. We have actually paid our farmers 9,000 crore rupees as crop compensation, which in my opinion is a thing that we are proud of, because we helped the farmers at the time of distress, and a lot of usage of technology was there in that. So that reinforces about our view that technology is very useful for the farmers en masse. Thank you, Mr. Keshwan. Any further queries, etc., I am willing to.
Thank you, Mr. Bedi. I'll quickly take a few questions from the chat box, and then I'll go back to Keshwan sir for maybe 60 seconds with all speakers, just to be a little sensitive on the time. We had a question about having digitization of records, of land records, and if Mr. Vijay Raj Mohanji could take the question and see whether the Government of India is going towards digitization of land records. And then we do have a, sort of a great testimonial coming from a farmer himself, who's also, leading, agricultural technologies in his farm through applications like Phoenix and Uravan, and he's used it really well. So there's a good amount of support that they are coming. There's a good amount of support that they want from other CSR activities that all corporates can actually make use of. So if all us panelists could throw some light on that, but first to Raj Mohanji and then Mr. Bedi, if they want to throw some light, and over to you, Keshwanji, after that. Thanks.
Sure. Thank you.
From the Government of India side, I would like to say that almost 90% of the land records are already digitized. What we are actually doing in the Agriculture Department is linking them with the farmers' data. Like we have got huge amount of farmers' data lying in different schemes. When somebody gets a PM Kisan money, they give the details. When somebody applies for a soil health card, they give details. When somebody applies for Fasal Bima Yojana, the crop insurance scheme, they give details. These details are already available in various silos in the Government of India. What we are doing is taking these details, and then we, through this, using artificial intelligence and other algorithms, we are trying to link them with the land record data. And we are also cleaning up the data. And as I already said, we have almost completed nearly 5 crore data. It has crossed 4.6 crores by last 10 days ago. So we are nearing 5 crore, 50 million farmers data is already almost ready with the Government of India. And our target is to complete around 100 million farmers data. So the digitized land record details are already available. Another department of land reforms, they are actually land records. They are already actually on the job. They have done also. 90% is completed. Thank you.
Okay, I will also supplement to what Mr. Rajmohan has told. You see, the land records, as he says, are actually available with most of the states. They are digitized. Tamil Nadu has also got its land records. And what we are, all the states are moving ahead is to have, we are the two types of land records, that is, who is owning which land at what point of time. The second point is at a dynamic land record, what crop is being sown in a particular season should also be made available, so that at any point of time, suppose I want to know today how much paddy is grown in Tamil Nadu, I should just go to the computer and have a sense of that actually. So in that, maybe the pioneering state I believe right now is Karnataka, which is trying to digitize all its crop sowing data, because they send the officers and volunteers to all the fields twice a year to record the crops over there. So Tamil Nadu actually has also gone for digitization of the presently crop sowing data, that's called digitized Adangal, though it has not been completed afresh. So what all the states are now presently trying to do is not only to have the static data also about the land ownership, but also to have the dynamic data of crop grown over the lands also, so that the planning process and the available data can be more accurate with all the stakeholders.
Excellent. So I think that is exactly the kind of implementation we put in the rest of the states. Go ahead, sir, please.
Yeah.
Just to add to what Bedi sir just said, now what we are doing is, like sir said, that Karnataka is in the forefront. They have conduct a crop survey using farmers' friends who visits the fields from the field, with the GIS coordinates. They upload the data, they take photographs, upload to the portal, and this is being done by Karnataka for both the Kharif and Rabi crops. These crops very accurate fashion in Karnataka. What we have recently done after Prime Minister's office asked us to do is, now we are taking this Karnataka experiment and trying to superimpose that with the satellite imagery from MNCFC. We are going to start a pilot project now. So by which, as Mr. Randeep, I think the Microsoft person, as he said, that we are again trying to look, unlike what Karnataka does, which actually is little more costly, can we superimpose some kind of sample data with the MNCFC generated satellite imagery, and then accurately predict the crop pattern in the country. So we are initiating a pilot. Last week we had a meeting with ISRO and MNCFC, Malnobis Crop Forecast Center, and with Karnataka government also. We are going to take this forward. Thank you.
Thank you. I think Vasisht, I think we are really running on time, quite late on time. Am I right? So what I will do is I think there is something fantastic has happened today. I think the kind of knowledge sharing what has happened, and also the presence of the government officials here. And I think this is giving enough links to all of us, both in India and our friends sitting in US and wherever they are sitting. I think there is a lot of opportunities, and you are seeing from the government angle, they are also telling us, bring the right solutions, what suits the Indian farmers. We are here to reach that to the farmer because we are also interested. And digitization efforts, I mean, sometimes you don't even know that this is happening. The kind of digitization episodes happening, the kind of data transformation this is happening, I think we are going in the right direction. There is one area which I'm not asked. I know it's going to be a subject which can be a controversy by itself, is also who owns the farmer's data. So finally, this is a big debate going world over, and the data proprietary is a question. I think I will not bring it in today, because I think that can be a separate discussion. I'm aware the government of India is also looking at it to see how to solve this. And the solutions, I don't think I'm going to ask you that question, sir, today, because that's a very big subject by itself. So my personal feeling, I'm going to hand this back to Mr. Maini. I think my genuine belief is I think we had a very nice discussion. Everybody tried to made up impact, made a point, and it has been a great learning session. And I'm sure opportunities will come out of it. And let us help the government to reach this to the farmers. That means the government will help us to ensure that we get business. I think that's the best part of it. That's the best thing in life. Back to Mr. Maini, sir.
Thank you so much, sir. I think you've summed it well. What all is discussed, and frankly, though it's late in India, but frankly we could have gone for another hour because the discussion was actually very not, I would say, informative, but as well, where you actually learning. So many examples were shared on what all is happening, and frankly, sometimes sitting in Delhi or sitting in wherever, you don't really realize what all work which is happening. So once again, thank you to all the speakers. Very informative, a great session. I want to thank everybody, and also thank both the government speakers, Mr. Bedi and Mr. Raj Mohan. And going forward, we will definitely take the offer of Mr. Raj Mohan and maybe convene another meeting with you, with all our companies who are present today, but some more who work on the technology front for agriculture, to sit with you and really understand how these companies can really work with the government in achieving their goals. And the point which is well taken is that okay, the solutions are there in from all over the world companies, but then how do you customize it and make use that they are used in India for as an India example? Not it's not necessarily something which is working in the US will work in India as well. So taking that as a note, I think the next steps would be to come back to you, but as well try and make some more I would say recommendations on the AI stuff and work with the governments, both with the state governments. That's the endeavor of USIBC. Once again, thank you very much for joining the third day of our digital week. We have tomorrow we will be discussing the 5G, right, Aditya? That's the session we have tomorrow. But thanks again. Over and out from here. Thank you again, sir.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, sir.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, sir.
Thank you.